How a bipartisan group of senators got same-sex marriage protections passed. In July, Senator Tammy Baldwin, Democrat Wisconsin, spotted some of her Republican colleagues on the Senate floor and rushed over to tell them the good news. 47 House Republicans had just voted in favor of protecting same-sex marriage rights for gay couples, following the Supreme Court's decision reversing Roe v. Wade that raised fears the court could overturn same-sex marriage next. "We could do this," she recalled saying excitedly to Senators Susan Collins, Maine, Lisa Murkowski, Alaska, Rob Portman, Ohio, and Tom Tillis, and.c., whom Baldwin, the first openly gay U.S. senator, had worked with before in other discussions on protecting LGBTQ rights. Portman, who was the first in his caucus to endorse same-sex marriage back in 2013 and whose son is gay, said he initially felt less optimistic, aware of just how many of his colleagues had strongly held views on the issue. The discussion set off months of negotiations by a bipartisan group of 5 senators with their Republican colleagues, LGBTQ rights groups and religious organizations, which resulted in Tuesday's historic Senate vote to repeal the Defense of Marriage Act and guarantee protections for same-sex married couples, as well as interracial couples if the Supreme Court were to ever reverse its decisions protecting them. That every present Senate Democrat and 12 Republicans would vote to protect gay unions, after years in which opposing same-sex marriage was the consensus position in Washington, and later, a rallying cry for the GOP base, shows how quickly public opinion has changed on the issue, prompting many lawmakers to follow suit. The bill now heads to the House, where it's expected to pass and land on President Biden's desk. Baldwin supported legalizing same-sex marriage as a state lawmaker back in 1994, before Gallup was even asking the public if they supported that policy in polls. Support has risen from 27% in 1996 to 70% now in that poll, but national Republicans have been slower to embrace the change, often bringing up fears that religious institutions that don't support same-sex marriage will be discriminated against. Senator Mike Lee, Republican Utah, argued in an op-ed that the bill would inflict harm on those who, for reasons rooted in sincerely held religious belief or moral conviction, do not embrace same-sex marriage, and ultimately voted against the bill. "Some people think that the world has moved on. That's really not accurate as it relates to many parts of the country," Portman said. "It's still a matter of convincing people, persuading people, helping people understand what it all means." The surprising show of Republican support for the same-sex marriage bill in the House over the summer showed that what was initially seen as a way for Democrats to force Republicans to take a vote that could alienate some of their constituents during an election year could actually lead to real legislation. The Supreme Court's unpopular Dobbs decision had changed the political atmosphere. Conservative Justice Clarence Thomas's comment in his Dobbs concurrence that the court should reconsider its opinion protecting gay marriage set off a panic among some same-sex couples that their marriages could be invalidated in the future. But to convince at least 10 Republicans to back the measure, Baldwin knew she had to overcome skepticism from many Republicans that Democrats just wanted to put them on the spot on an issue that public opinion had recently deserted them on, as well as fierce opposition from social conservative groups and some religious institutions.